Welcome to the Sublime Project, the show that explores the most powerful and overwhelming ideas in art and culture. Today, we will tackling a concept that has shaped centuries of thought, the sublime. What is it and how does it differ from its peaceful counterpart, the beautiful? To solve this mystery, I have brought in my investigation team. We have Hamim, our literary analyst, Nazif, our philosophical historian, and Akash, our visual director and theorist.
Thanks, Noman. Our class on aesthetics provided the perfect starting point for this investigation. We learned from Edmund Burke that to understand the sublime and the beautiful, we first have to understand our own minds. It all comes down to our three fundamental human faculties: sense, imagination, and judgment.
So, before we can even define the terms, we have to define ourselves, right?
Exactly. A beautiful object or experience is one we process primarily through our senses. It's easy to love. It inspires a pleasant, restful bodily experience. Think of a symmetrical, perfectly manicured garden or the soft light of a sunrise. Our eyes are soothed. The colors and shapes are easy to process. It's an instinctive and comforting sensation.
But the sublime, on the other hand, is a completely different kind of animal. It's a feeling of terror, of awe, and of overwhelming power that comes not from a pleasant bodily experience, but from something vast, chaotic, and beyond our control.
That's where imagination comes in. The sublime is derived from terror and fear, but crucially, we experience it from a safe distance. Our imagination processes that overwhelming feeling and, because we are not in actual danger, transforms it into a kind of free-form excitement. The storm at sea is a classical example. Watching it from the safety of the shore, our imagination is stimulated by its immense power, and our fear becomes a thrilling sense of awe.
It's fascinating how a physical, terrifying thing becomes a mental, exhilarating feeling.
And it's not always pleasant. Burke's theories have a darker side. Our investigation brought up a key point we can't ignore. His ideas on darkness and blackness are deeply tied to the racist views of 18th century Europe. He associated darkness with fear of the unknown, and he considered the color black as inherently negative, which is a problematic part of his work. It's important to remember that even a groundbreaking theory can have its historical and classical flaws.
D'abord, je trouve que le théâtre est un lieu de vérité. On dit généralement, il est vrai que c'est le lieu de l'illusion, mais n'en croyez rien. C'est la société plutôt qui vivrait l'illusion. Et vous rencontrerez sûrement moins de cabotin à la scène qu'à la vie.
We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. Poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
Now, from philosophy, let's turn to poetry. Hamim, how does the sublime manifest in William Wordsworth's lines composed a few miles above Tinter Abbey?
So, Wordsworth shows us that the sublime isn't always a sudden event like a storm. It can come from a quiet moment of reflection. The poem explores the speaker returning to a familiar, beautiful scene. But this time, his judgment transforms the experience. He is no longer a boy who experiencing the landscape purely through his senses. So now as an adult, he is able to think about it, to judge its meaning and its effect on his life.
So the sublime is about the passage of time, right?
Not just time, but what we do with that time. The memory of the peaceful landscape from his youth becomes something more profound and powerful. So his mind reworks the beautiful memory into something far more powerful, a spiritual anchor, a source of guidance. It's a sublime experience because his judgment and imagination, which allows him to see the landscape as more than just a view. It becomes a deep emotional connection that has sustained him through life's hardships. It's a more internal and intellectual kind of sublime.
That brings us to our final stop, art and the mind itself. Akash, how does John Keats' Ode to Nightingale present the sublime as a purely internal experience?
Keats takes us to a sublime experience that's completely divorced from nature's physical reality. It's an escape from human suffering, achieved through the power of pure imagination and art. The Nightingale's song, a sound that has no visual form, is so powerful that it transports the speaker to a beautiful imagined world, so free from the pain of human existence.
So, the sound itself becomes a kind of sublime force, right?
Yes, it's an aesthetic experience. Our professor mentioned Oscar Wilde, who believed in art for art's sake. The art's only purpose is to be beautiful. So Keats takes that a step further. He demonstrates that art can be sublime. It can be so powerful that it makes us forget ourselves, to lose ourselves completely in the experience. The Nightingale's song is a transcendent force that has inspired people throughout history. So proving that the sublime can be found in the beauty of creation, but not just the terror of nature.
So, to summarize our investigation, Najib, can you bring it all together?
Certainly, Burke gave us the blueprint, connecting the sublime to terror and vastness through our senses.
And Wordsworth showed us that through judgment and imagination, a memory of beauty can become a powerful and internal sublime. While Keats demonstrated that through art and imagination alone, we can find a transcendent, sublime experience that offers an escape from the pain of life.
So, the answer to our mystery lies within us. It's not just about what we see or hear, but how our sense, imagination, and judgment transform that experience. That's the sublime. Thank you for joining us on the Sublime Project.